Alright, budget magic time. Playing some mono white servos in standard. Alright, we'll try this. Double Toolcraft is pretty aggressive. It's going to depend on finding artifacts, which shouldn't be hard. Also finding lands to cast these angels and so forth. Planes and Toolcraft. Ship the turn. So, yeah. Land or artifact, either are pretty good for us. Opponent passes. Alright, it's a land. Toolcraft Exemplar. Get in for 1. This would be so much better if they were big, but they're not. We have a ton of power in our hand, though, if we actually get to it. Evolving Wilds for our opponent. Correct. For a mountain. Alright, what are we up against? Green, red. And there's a servant of the conduit. Yup. Well, awkward. Chief of the Foundry, at least it triggers our tool crafts. And maybe we draw land for next turn. Get in with both. If our opponent wants to trade with a servant, that's fine. We're basically on the kill our opponent plan. Chief of the Foundry is going to look a lot better if we get to resolve this Thram's expertise. Ether Hub. Well, maybe this is just green-red energy. Could also be like a 4-color Saheeli deck. Opponent is going to play something. Another servant. Okay. If we draw a land here in Thram's expertise, we actually give Toolcraft's first strike as well, which is kind of relevant against our opponent's blockers. Also, a Harness Lightning on our Chief of the Foundry. Well, come on, land. Oh, God. That might have been the worst draw in our deck. Another Thram's expertise. Oh, man. That is kind of unfortunate. We have, let's see, 23 lands. The depressing part is we have 4 4-drops and 4 5-drops. That's all we got in our entire deck. But we have half of our 4 and 5 mana plays. Half of our uncastable cards are in our hand. And we're not drawing lands we need to cast them. Double Whirler Virtuoso for our opponent. Down to 2 cards, we get Stasis Snare is pretty bad. Oh my god. The deck is looking bad right now. I don't think it's as bad as it's looking though, but this is pretty depressing. Sanctum for our opponent. I mean, they only have 2 cards in hand. Well, they're just going to attack with everything. Okay. Well, I think we take it down to 12. Hope we start drawing some actual action. Like land. That's another Whirler Virtuoso. Well, I guess we better Stasis Snare. If we go land, I think we could still win. Well, there's a land. Not what we were hoping for, but we get some Servo tokens. Pumps up our tool crafts. So I think the plan is attack with tool crafts and then chump. Opponent makes a Thopter. Oh, maybe our opponent's going to do some chumping. Makes a Thopter. Well, let's attack. So drawing a land would be pretty excellent for Angel of Invention to pump up our team even more. Worst case, we just Thram's expertise and kind of run it back. Attune with Ether. Gets our opponent some more energy. Going to equal more Thopters in the long run. I guess at this point we could also draw something cheap and be able to Thram's expertise into whatever cheap spell we draw. There's an island. Well, I'm kind of amazed we're even still in this game based on how long we went without casting anything. That was many turns of nothingness. How's our opponent going to attack? Servant, Whirler. Thopter. Well, let's double block a Servant, chump the Whirler. Take 3. Down to 9. Opponent passes. Oh god. Thram's expertise. We are drawing all of our expensive cards. Trigger our tool crafts. This draw. We've literally drawn 5 of our 8 things that cost 4 or 5 mana in our entire deck. Well, attack with both. Opponent takes it. Okay. Does not make Thopters. Aetherworks Marvel. Sure. Spins the wheel of happy fun times. Let's see what our opponent hits off the Aetherworks. Gets another Aetherworks. Do we just win here? Our opponent's at 1. They don't have enough energy to make Thopters. We're pretty close to just winning here. I don't think our opponent can even attack, which means we have tons, like, we're pretty much down to no bad draws in our deck. Something cheap we put into playoffs, Rom's expertise. Land gives us Angel of Invention. I guess another Angel. Alright, it's a land. So play the Plains. Play Angel of Invention. Make Servos. Go to combat. And we're just going to attack with the tool crafts. Chumps. Chumps. Gets a couple energy. The good news here is I'm not even that scared of Aetherworks Marvel, assuming our opponent finds the energy for it. They would have to have like Saheeli Rai or Felidar Guardian in hand and then get 2 energy and Aetherworks into the other combo piece. So that requires like 3 very specific cards, and our opponent only has 2 cards in hand. So, and we got there. All right. Wow. Well, we started off super slow, but as the game went on, double Toolcraft was good enough. So I think we bring in Authority of the Console, go down the animation module, go down a... Is our opponent comboing? Do we want to fragmentize to kill? We might need to. Let's go down 1 Stasis Snare, 1 Ether Sphere Harvester. Let's just try it like this. Okay. Well, let's see how much removal our opponent has. We got the Lord draw. Triple Lords and Servo Exhibition. So if our Metallic Mimic lives, this could be a pretty good start. Opponent plays an Ether Hub and passes. Oh, Angel of Invention. Well, play the Plains, pass the turn. Forest for our opponent. Do they have the Servant of the Conduit? Glassblower's Puzzle Knot. Okay. Get some energy. Building towards the Aetherworks Marvel. Well, hopefully we draw land in 1 out of our next 2 turns. Alright, there's a land. So, first up, Metallic Mimic on Servo. And pass turn. Things are shaping up. There's an island for our opponent. Alright, opponent does have removal. That slows us down a bit. Up to 4 energy. So they're getting close to spinning the wheel if they find an Aetherworks Marvel. Opponent passes. Well, let's Servo Exhibition and Authority of the Console. Still not 100% sure what our opponent's trying to set up here. If it's... They could be going big with Ulamogs and so forth. They could also just be trying to set up Saheeli Rai. We really don't have a good idea. Opponent, Wood Weaver's Puzzle Knot. Gain some life, gain some energy. Well, they have the energy for the spin. We get a Plains. I think we play the Master here because we have 2 of them. We have 2 of them. Get in with our Servos. Alright, shocks the Master. Takes 2. Opponent's still above their starting life total. Well, let's see if they have the Aetherworks Marvel. That's the big question. Survey says, yes, they do. And they're going to get to activate it twice in a row? Well, maybe not. Yeah, okay. So they do get another spin next turn. Wood Weaver's Puzzle Knot. Opponent passes. Well, that's a good draw. Sram's Expertise into Trinketer. So that's some value. All of a sudden, from 2 1/1s, we go to, from what, 2 power to 13 power? With a Sram's Expertise into a Lord? That's the explosiveness of this deck. So we have a lot of pressure on our opponent. Let's see what they can do. They do get another spin at the Aetherworks Marvel. Ulamog is still bad. Like hitting a Lord and a land or something, if that's what's happening. We are going wide, and we do have Saheeli Rai covered, if that's our opponent's plan. So I guess we will see. Wow. Okay. That is an odd choice. Cast another Aetherworks Marvel. I mean, I guess technically that gets them exactly enough energy to spin the wheel. I don't know if that's how that's better than just cracking a puzzle knot, though. What does our opponent find this time? Just a Rogue Refiner. Enters tapped. Jeez, okay. Maybe this is a Saheeli Rai build, and maybe we're winning. Angel would be pretty sweet here. Chief of the Foundry. Well, play Chief. Get in for a bundle. I think our opponent drops all the way to 2. And they have gained a ton of life this game. Pass the turn. All right, opponent, you need something good. They're basically to the point where they need a Wrath, or they are just going to scumble to our Servos. Oh, this is actually kinda sorta working, which is pretty sweet. Opponent's tanking, trying to figure out how they overcome the Servoian menace. What do you got, opponent? What do you got? And I think we get the GGs from our opponent. Do they have a plan? Up to 6 energy. Spins the happy good time wheel of Aetherworks Marvel. What do they find in their top 6? Something to kill us. And no! Alright, Servos, mono white Servos, getting the job done against Temur Aetherworks. Sweet!